Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Maria Parham, editorial page editor for the Arizona Daily Star. Tonight on AZ Illustrated Metro, we'll talk about Tucson's decision to annex land on the southeast side. We'll also explore a new funding source for nonprofit organizations in town. Then we'll turn to the Federal Health Insurance Exchange. We take a first-hand look at what it's like to shop for insurance and get an update from the federal government. But first, a look at today's top stories.
A federal judge ruled today Arizona and Kansas can require people registering to vote to prove they are U.S. citizens. In his ruling, Judge Eric Mergen explained the National Voter Registration Act does not preclude states from setting up qualifications for voters. He also pointed out the U.S. Constitution leaves that open to the states. Secretary of State Ken Bennett, who filed the suit, told Arizona Public Media he's pleased with the clarity of the ruling. State Senator Steve Gallardo was among the challengers to the law. He says the ruling comes from an activist judge. An appeal is expected. The Glendale City Council voted to begin formal negotiations with the Tohono O'odham Nation for the West Valley Resort and Casino, which would be located just outside the city of Glendale. For years, that city has fought the nation over whether the casino could be built. Glendale Council member Ian Hugh told Arizona Public Media the city has spent more than $3 million in legal fees fighting the tribe's effort. The state argues the Tohono O'odham Nation's casino would exceed the number of casinos permitted in Metro Phoenix. The federal government says there is no such restriction. A bill in the state legislature would prohibit more casinos in Metro Phoenix before 2027. And the Arizona Senate's Committee on Commerce, Energy, and Military voted 3-2 today to exempt electric car company Tesla Motors from requirements for dealer networks in the state. And that's a look at tonight's headlines.
Last night, the Tucson City Council decided to annex some property on the southeast side near Valencia and Kolb roads. The city's annexation manager, Mike Zakowski, joins me in the studio now. Mike, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you just give us a brief overview of the project that was before the City Council last night?
Absolutely. Last night we had the Century Park Marketplace Annexation District on the council meeting for approval to go forth and give the blessing to start the annexation process. We also had on there a pre-annexation development agreement to get some details worked out with the developer in the city of Tucson.
All right, so exactly what happened? You started with the process. They've asked to be annexed into the city because they had some problems with the county, and you've approved it. Was there any controversy last night?
There was not any controversy last night, major. There are some issues with where the road alignment will be, which the city of Tucson does not have any word on right now. It's an RTA project. Other than that, it was a pretty straightforward and very good annexation.
And so why is this annexation important to the city and annexations in general?
Well, annexations are absolutely critical to the city of Tucson for our growth and for our funding. As we grow, we can increase our state shared revenue that we get down from the state of Arizona, which is absolutely huge to funding for police, for fire, and creating a great quality of life for all of our residents. So, and this can also be great for retail, to get more retail, create more retail tax dollars back to our community. Just a great project altogether.
So can you describe the project and what it will be down the road then, and how how much money we could anticipate getting? What is the developer planning?
Absolutely. So right now, this Century Park Marketplace is just an idea to have 1.3 million square feet of retail down the road. Now, this isn't something that's going to happen within the next few years, but we can control that development. We can get that within the city of Tucson. So 1.3 million of square feet is huge for that region down there. Generate a lot of money.
Right, and it's something that they really don't have on that side of town. There in the Valencia Kolb area.
Absolutely.
It's not an area with retail.
The Rita Ranch area growing as big as it is, with the Valencia area, Valencia and I-10 area, there's just nothing there. So this is an area in need of something.
Now, you mentioned earlier the road improvement issue, because I know there has been a lot written about that, and that was part of the reason that the developer or the owner of the land wanted to be annexed into the city. Can you give us a little more detail on what that issue is?
Sure. If you're familiar with that area, the Valencia and Kolb area, that's one of the worst intersections in the city of Tucson right now to make a left turn going home for the Rita folks. Right now they're talking about a realignment of the Valencia to straighten it out and make the traffic flow a little smoother. It's an RTA project. They are the ones controlling it. They are supposed to make a decision within the next month whether that alignment will go north or south of the existing intersection. City of Tucson right now has no opinion on that. We're waiting for the RTA to make that decision.
So as far as this development's concerned, you told me, I believe, that now the owner will go out and look for a developer to do the property. What kind of timeline could we expect on this?
I anticipate he's going to put the property up for sale as soon as he possibly can. He is a landowner, not a land developer or a marketer of retail for that aspect. So he wants to get it out and have a project ready for somebody as quickly as possible. So I anticipate it'll be up for sale within the next 6 months at least.
And then we can't tell how many years down the road it might be before there's a purchase, a plan, and actually getting that retail there then.
I really don't know. The market will play that out. Hopefully we'll get somebody in from outside that will say this is a prime location to put some absolutely wonderful shopping.
Good. Well, Mike, talk to us. Annexation has been something that the mayor talks about in his State of the City addresses, and that he's been such an advocate of. Could you talk to us about some other projects that might be in the pipeline coming in?
Absolutely. We have the Empire Vista Annexation District, which is about 150 residential homeowners.
And can you tell us where it is?
That is at the Valencia and I-10 corridor, so it's just a little bit west of this existing one, the Century Park Marketplace. It also has one small retail gas shopping center and then some vacant raw land ready for development. All of the vacant land needs water to provide services so that they can come in. Obviously, the city of Tucson provides water, so with that annexation, we can provide water to them. That will be coming into the mayor and council within the next month.
Okay, so that's coming up pretty quickly. Yes. Any other major ones that you have in the pipeline again?
We are working on an absolutely huge one. It's critical to our city. It's the Automall South Annexation District. It's a potential of $1.5 million of revenue to the city of Tucson, and we're working very diligently with property owners on that one.
Okay, and you expect to have that in the next year, maybe?
We're hoping that we can have that within the next few months, but you never know.
Mike Jakowski, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Now we turn to a different sector of Tucson. A new local funding source is giving loans to nonprofit organizations. Andrea Kelly sat down with one of the board members of the Nonprofit Loan Fund and a loan recipient.
Joining us in the studio now is Helene Levy, board member of the Nonprofit Loan Fund of Tucson, and Carol Grimsby, executive director of Wingspan. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Helene, let's start with you. Can you explain what the Nonprofit Loan Fund is?
Sure. The Nonprofit Loan Fund was started a few years ago in Tucson by a group of philanthropists and people who work in the nonprofit sector as well as the business community, spearheaded pretty much by Jim Click, who convened a group of people comprising the finance community, nonprofit community, business community, to come together and think about putting together a loan fund for the nonprofit community, for those nonprofits who typically have a tough time getting conventional financing loans from our banks. And it really was a result of the recession and the tightening up of finance and funding for the nonprofits. Their grants started to come in slower, from federal grants, state grants. The grants from foundations were slowed down, from private individuals. And this fund, which is done similarly in other communities in the country, provides that gap financing for the nonprofits who typically cannot qualify anywhere else.
And you said it began 6 years ago, but this is the first round of funding that just
It
happened?
began about 2 years ago. Because it was a startup nonprofit, it took a lot of process to get it up and running. Our first 3 loans have been made in the last 2 months, and so we just got up and running. Our processes are in place. We're in the community getting the word out, and now the pipeline has started to flow.
And Carol, as Executive Director of Wingspan, one of the organizations that received a loan, what are you doing with the money?
Well, to Eileen's point, we are really using it as a bridge loan. And the nonprofit loan fund made it an easy access for us to receive a loan. Most of our grant money comes in the form of allocations, which means we spend the money before we invoice for the money. And so all our money to pay back the loan is actually identified. And this is just a bridge for those gaps.
So you already were planning on receiving funding from grant agencies.
Yes.
And once you get those grants, you'll pay back the fund.
That's how that will work.
Okay. And Helene, what happens when that loan is
So
paid
when
back?
the loan is paid back, then we have that same amount of money to reloan into the community. So our goal is to actually raise $1 million for the loan fund. And the loans that we make range in size from $10,000 to $50,000 up to a year's time. So the concept is, and I represent a family foundation here in Tucson. So for example, if I have a nonprofit come to me and request $10,000 in grant money, if I have a conversation with them and find out that a loan can serve the same purpose for them, or short-term loan, than a grant, it behooves me to send them to the nonprofit loan fund, where that $10,000 doesn't just go out once in the form of a grant, but it keeps recycling in our community and helping one nonprofit after another.
And Carol, if you did not have this fund, if Wingspan did not have this loan, what would you be doing to manage those grants that aren't coming in right away?
It becomes a very tough cash flow situation. So with the help of this loan, it bridges that gap. And that was really our primary need when we reached out to the Nonprofit Loan Foundation. And they have been wonderful to work with.
Are there specific programs being funded with this, or is it total operating?
Total operating.
Okay.
If I could talk about that a second. So in Carol's case, it's operations, general operations, but the loan fund is also available for programmatic loans. And just to give examples of how it might be used, for example, in the performing arts community, their revenue from ticket sales comes in at a certain time during the year. And so they have this gap that they need to help with their financial planning and their cash flow management. So this would be a bridge for that, for example. And we want to be a resource in our community to help with innovative new programs that nonprofits might typically have a difficult time getting financing to getting them up and going.
And Carol, how much was the loan that that Wingspan received?
The loan was for $35,000. And when we talk about general operating, we are talking about supporting the entire Wingspan program, and that includes the anti-violence program, our EON Youth program, our homeless youth project, Senior Pride, 24-hour crisis hotline, the Saga program, and Portas Abertas. So this bridge loan helps all of those programs in a cash flow crunch.
So would any of those be at risk if you did not have the loan?
We might have to eliminate some aspect of what we are doing in a program without the bridge loan. That's a possibility.
Helene, what other organizations received funding this round?
So the other 2 organizations of our first 3 are the Ywca, and they fit into the category, as I mentioned, in their strategic plan. They have some very innovative new programs that they anticipate being revenue-producing programs, but they needed a jump start to get going on those. And the other one is a charter school, the Tucson International School, and it offers all kinds of programming for students. And again, theirs is a timing issue. So their tuition money comes in at a certain time of the year, and they need to cover that gap right now.
All right, well, thank you both for joining us. Sorry, we're out of time on that. I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Andrea.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next News Hour, Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen's first news conference on the state of the economy. That's Wednesday on the PBS NewsHour.
Singer Paul Janeway has been told that he looks like a high school history teacher. He doesn't sound much like one.
This is really difficult for me not to sing every time I sing like it's the last time I'm ever going to be on the planet.
I'm David Green. The Southern soul band St. Paul and the Broken Bones. That's on the next morning edition from NPR News.
Arizona Public Media's Georgia Davis has been shopping for health insurance on the Federal Exchange website. She joins me in the studio now to talk about her experience. Georgia, thanks for coming in the studio today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Tell us about your experience, how you got into this and what you've been finding.
All right, well, some of this is personal and professional curiosity. I'm a health geographer. I wanted to see what all of the fuss was about. I actually went on the website for the first time in November, and I couldn't get anywhere with it. I couldn't get past the log on. But I went back and I tried it again just this last month, and I actually sat down with the patient navigator so I could get some help through the system. And what I found was it was actually incredibly easy to navigate. And the navigator, she sat over my shoulder while I worked on her computer, and she basically just kind of helped me walk my way through the website. But the website itself was really, really easy to use. So I found registering, getting all of my information into the site to be very simple. It was actually when it came time to choose a plan that I started to run into more complications.
All right, so tell us about what those complications were then.
All right. I think the biggest issue for me was terminology, and I already have insurance, so I already know what a deductible is. I already know what a copay is. I know what coinsurance is. And something the navigator told me is that's actually not the case for a lot of people who haven't had insurance. So there's a lot of people are just very unfamiliar with the terminology to begin with. I know what all of these things are, but I still felt like keeping track of all of those things while I was trying to choose different plans was a challenge. Also, there are these different levels of plans, right? Silver, gold, bronze, platinum. I'm saying them out of order. But from my understanding, the platinum, for example, you pay a higher deductible, but then in the end, there's less out of your pocket on copays and coinsurance. When I actually got into the plans and I was using side-by-side comparison tools on the website, which were really easy to use once again, I found I didn't actually see the numbers that I expected. For example, the deductible might be higher on a platinum plan than it was on a silver plan. And so I began to wonder, what was I not seeing when I was comparing these plans side by side?
So when you go into them then, I mean, you can see them side by side, but does it just go on and on forever so that when you say, what am I not seeing, it's something because it's at the end of the page, it's on the next screen? What do you think is happening there?
That part was actually really easy. There was a grid, and so for example, you would have plan 1, plan 2, plan 3, deductible, and then you would have the deductible for each plan. So it was really set up in this easy to read grid format. But one of the challenges is that because essential services now have to be covered by these insurance plans, pretty much it looked like they all covered the same thing. So I wasn't really clear always in what wasn't covered. The other thing I couldn't really tell the difference between the plans was the provider network, the in-network and the out-of-network. So for example, if you have an HMO, you may not be able to go out-of-network unless you pay 100% of the cost. If you have a plan like a PPO, you might be able to go out-of-network but pay a little bit of the cost. So depending on the type of plan, how much you pay will change. Well, I then had a hard time getting in and finding out, well, who exactly is in the network. You can search. There's a link to see which providers are in network, but it isn't laid out for you that there are so many heart surgeons, so many GPs, so many of these maternity care providers. So I couldn't get a sense of spectrum of who is offering what kind of services in network for the different plans.
So based on your experience, what's your advice for the healthcare.gov people of how they could make it a little easier for people, because you've had health insurance, you've had a lot of experience in the health field, and if you're still having trouble deciding and getting all the information you need, what should you be getting from them?
Well, interestingly, I don't know what I would change about the site. The site itself was very easy to use. There were glossaries, there was links to information. The navigator was really helpful. I think a lot of the infrastructure and tools are there. I think the problem comes in then actually understanding the language that the insurance companies are using. Insurance companies want you to pay part of the bill, and they have different mechanisms for doing that. And rather it being one mechanism, you pay this percent, there are multiple mechanisms. And so understanding all of those, keeping track of all of those, and understanding how one affects the other, that's where it becomes more complicated. I think the website has done what it can by providing glossaries and explanations of these different terms and factors that you need to keep straight. However, I think it just becomes more difficult when you actually get into the minutia of the plans themselves.
So as we wrap up here, we have about a minute or a little less left. What's your advice to people who are going out on the site for the first time in this last, not even 2 weeks that they have left to sign up? How might they best approach it?
Well, do it now. Don't wait, because again, it looks very easy at first, and then when you start really getting into it, you might find you have a lot of questions. Get a navigator to help you through if you have any questions at all. Call the insurance companies, call your providers, find out what plans they take. Just do your homework.
Georgia Davis, thanks so much for coming in the studio today.
You're welcome.
Now we'll ask for an update on Arizona enrollment from the Regional Director of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Andrea Kelly has the interview.
Herb Schultz, thank you so much for coming in today.
Oh, it's great to be back, and go Wildcats.
Let's start with an update. How is Arizona doing on enrolling some of the 1 million people we heard were uninsured about a year ago?
You know, Arizona is doing great. As of the end of February, there were approximately 60,000 people enrolled in the marketplace, but we have hundreds of assisters, local partners that are fanned out across the state and can help people in their communities enroll. As a matter of fact, the easy thing is if you dial 211 in Arizona 24 hours a day, you can find out where there is a local helper or assister that can help you sign up and enroll into healthcare coverage. And so we're proud to partner with those folks.
Let's go through those numbers just a little bit more, because some people are enrolling in Medicaid then, Arizona's Access program. Some people are signing up for subsidized insurance programs, and some people are paying for insurance, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And so we won't have all the numbers, obviously, until after the end of open enrollment, which is March 31st. But there have been over 80,000 people who have been deemed eligible or renewed or enrolled into the Medicaid, the Access program here, 60,000 in that federal marketplace. And the important thing is you can get financial assistance in the federal marketplace, little or no cost to those who are making under $16,000 a year in Medicaid. And so 211 is a very major point that we want to drive home, because open enrollment ends on March 31st.
Since you just brought up the deadline,
yes,
expand on what that means for people. The deadline to enroll if you're uninsured is March 31st to get health
insurance. The deadline
insurance
for the health insurance marketplace is March 31st. And so we've seen an unprecedented growth in not only excitement, but actually in enrollment across the country, and we've seen it here in Arizona. Last week alone, there were 4 million visits to the healthcare.gov website, 1 million over the weekend. We expect that unprecedented wave to continue. So whether you go to 211 and find out, is there a local assister near you? If you go, there is a wonderful, huge statewide coalition of wonderful partners, organizations, hospitals, consumers, faith-based, community health centers that are spread out across the state. You can go to coveraz.org/events, and you can find out events in your own local neighborhood where you can meet the assisters that way as well. But whether you go on healthcare.gov, whether you call 211, whether you go on the coveraz.org/events website, there's an unprecedented surge happening, and we see a lot of excitement every day here in Arizona and here across the country.
So that's people trying to meet that deadline. Remind us what happens if they don't meet that deadline.
Well, if they don't meet that deadline, for consumers that are eligible for the marketplace, you can enroll in the Medicaid program anytime you're eligible. Same for small employers. There is a penalty associated with it. But the important thing is that the Affordable Care Act is there for people, or it's required for people who can afford it. And for those that don't get health insurance, it makes it more expensive for those that do have health insurance coverage. But the other important thing is that nobody expects a $15,000 emergency hospital visit. Nobody expects to have a car accident that is got dramatic consequences on their life and in their health. And so if you don't have health insurance, you have to pay 100% of that cost. So that is a significantly different thing than just, sort of paying 1% or $95. You are totally uncovered and responsible for 100% of the cost of healthcare. So the important thing is it's required for those that can afford it, and that deadline is March 31st that we're focusing on.
And just to reiterate, the people who are uninsured today, who do not have health insurance today, have until March 31st to enroll in health insurance through the exchanges, through the marketplaces. If they don't, in addition to any unexpected medical costs, they'll also have a $95 or 1% of their income penalty.
The greater, but they also will not be able to begin to enroll in a healthcare plan until next November for coverage that starts at its earliest on January 1. And the peace of mind, the security, the consequences. I've been a person living with a chronic health condition for 22 years. Nobody expects, I did not expect years ago to get very ill and rush to a hospital and have a 9-day hospital stay that, if I was not insured, would have certainly bankrupted me.
Oh, that's an important point. Nobody ever expects to have an emergency.
Well,
correct?
I've met folks all over, students and parents and consumers and businesses all over the state. And unfortunately, there are a lot of stories out there of people who had pre-existing conditions like asthma, diabetes, cancer, could not get health insurance, have gone financially bankrupt because of it, are no longer living because they were not able to access the care because of either not being insured or being insured but running against a limit and being financially bankrupted. So it's really important that nobody anymore can be turned down for health insurance. No one will ever again have to choose between the cost of a medical procedure, the cost of rent, the cost of tuition, or prescription drugs. And so the marketplace sign up for consumers, March 31st, deadline 2/11, 24 hours a day. Here in Arizona, you can find local assisters or just go right on healthcare.gov and enroll directly. And there are also chats up and back so you can ask operators questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 150 languages are spoken on the customer service line that we have.
Great. Thank you so much, Herb Schultz, for joining us to talk about how enrollment is going in Arizona and those deadlines.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
That's our show. To keep up with the latest news and watch the segments from this and other editions of AZ Illustrated, go to our website, news.azpm.org. I'm Maria Parham. Thanks for watching.